Hey folks, we're going to learn C# over the course of 3 videos by making a password validator. Password validator is just like, when you sign up onto websites, typically they'll have some password requirements. Here are mine. So if I type in something that doesn't satisfy 2 of the requirements, it'll say, hey, you need both of those things. So let's satisfy 2 of them. Okay, we still need a symbol. Sure, that's a good password. Okay, so it's going to continually reprompt until the password satisfies all of the requirements that we have for it. Now, this tutorial for C# assumes that you already know a little bit about programming, as in like how to make variables, how to work with conditionals, loops, a little bit about data types, and functions, and how to comment code. So this might be a good introduction if you're coming from a language like Python or something and coming into C#. So in this tutorial, we're going to go over how to do the following things in C#. And we'll break it across 3 videos. We will make this password validator and add more complexity each time. Okay, so I'm using REPL.it to make my C# project. You can use Visual Studio or something else. I really like this place. Again, the website is just repl.it, R-E-P-L.it. You can sign up. It's free. It's awesome. And this is the default code they give me. So if I hit run, this main function right here is our entry point to the program. So when I hit run, it looks for main, and then this is my print, console.writeLine. So I could change this and say to just say hello, and it would update in the program over there. So first thing we're going to do here is we're going to print out the prompt of our program. So the password must, and then let's go ahead and do another console.writeLine. Just copy and paste that guy and edit it. So we're going to say have at least 10 letters. That's going to be our only requirement so far. And then we have to read in what the user puts in for their password and store it in a variable. So this will be a string, and we'll call it password, and we can say console.readLine, and that will take care of it. Let's run our program. So password must have at least 10 letters. I can type something in, and then the program stops. We get a warning here because the variable password is assigned but value is never used. Warnings are different from errors. Warnings just saying, hey, you made a password variable and never used it. Did you really mean to do that? Yes, we're just testing at the moment. So when you test, just run a couple lines at a time. Incremental development is the nice way to do things. That way, if something breaks, you know where it is. All right. So let's add a little more complexity here. We're going to break this line into 2 lines because we're going to need to reprompt the user until their password is good. So let's go ahead and make this an empty string, and then we're going to do a while loop. So while password equals empty string, I'm going to say password equals console.readLine, and then at the end of the program we're going to say good password. Okay, so all we're doing is checking that they put something in for password that's not empty. We're not quite to the 10 letters part yet. Let's go ahead and run this. Oh, looks like I forgot a semicolon. Every line in C# uses a semicolon at the end. That's how you know the statement is done. Okay, let's go ahead and type in a password. Well, if I hit enter, it's going to reprompt me until I type in something that's not empty string. Fantastic. So we've made a variable, we've declared it, we've assigned a value to it, we've mutated it, we've changed what's stored there. We've used it in a while loop where password being empty string was the condition. So it's going to continue until password is not empty. Okay, so let's add a little bit more complexity here with the 10 letters bit. We're going to create a constant. We'll do this at the top of our main class, and we'll call it min length and set it equal to 10. You declare constants, which are variables that don't change, by typing const and then the data type, in this case integer, and then we use screaming snake case, best name ever, for our naming. So it's capitals with lower cases. I mean with underscores, capitals with underscores. And then set that equal to 10. Then we can use this 10 throughout our program. So let's go ahead and delete this 10, put some quotes there, and then add a few plus signs, and then add our constant in there, min length. So our program should work the same, and it prints out 10 there. This is string concatenation. Concatenation is combining strings together with the plus operator. So I'll add a comment here. We've got string concatenation. Combining those together. Great. Okay, so let's actually validate for password length. We're going to make a function for this because we're going to be adding more validation things down the road. We could conceivably just do it right in here, but we have lots of things to validate eventually. So let's plan ahead. We're going to make a function. So static bool, we're going to return a boolean, true or false, whether or not this is a good password. And it's going to take in the password as a parameter and return true or false. Let's go ahead and make the Boolean variable has length, meaning that it meets the length requirement, and we'll get password's length property, and we will compare it to our min length constant. And return that Boolean. So this will be true or false depending on if the password's length meets our length requirements. This is why we put our constant at the top of our class. It has to do with scope. Scope says where things are accessible. Has length is only accessible between these two curly braces in good password. We don't need to know about the variable has length in our main function because good password abstracts that away for us. However, min length is being used throughout our program, so it needs to be declared at the scope of the class. So you want to declare your variables and constants in the narrowest scope possible. I don't want to put has length up here when I don't need to. Keep everything organized and encapsulated. Okay, so let's change our while loop here to say while not good password, then we're going to continually prompt the user. And the exclamation point is the not operator in C#. Okay, let's go ahead and run this. So if I hit enter, it's reprompting. Something too short reprompts. And then something's finally long enough, and we're good to go. I think I accidentally put in some arrow keys or something there. Let's double check. So if I type in 9 letters, check your boundary cases, off by 1. Okay, we're right on the money. That's a good thing to do when you are programming. Check the boundaries. So we want to make sure that a password of 9 characters does not get through, but a password of 10 does. Okay, it's a good way to test your code. All right, Last thing we're going to do here is tell the user why their password did not pass the check. So we're going to say if you do not have the requisite length, then we're going to say not long enough. Okay. If I run this, then it's going to print out not long enough before I've even typed anything in. So instead of using a pre-test while loop, which is where the test is at the beginning of the loop, we're going to use a post-test while loop. This may be something new to you if you come from something like Python that does not have do while loops, but they're pretty straightforward. It's just like, hey, do this code while this is true. So you're guaranteed to always do it at least once. So this is called a post-test loop. A pre-test loop is the regular one, where you have the while at the top. So post-test loop is guaranteed to run at least once, which is what we want, because we want to at least prompt the user one time. Okay, let's test our code. Password must have 10 letters. Not long enough. Good to go. All right, so let's review. We have variable declarations. You have to say the data type of the variable, and you got string, integer, boolean. You have float for decimals. You can go look up data types. And then constants, you put const in front and use that naming convention for constants. And then with functions, for right now, just put static in front. Don't worry about what static means for a while until we get into object-oriented stuff. Just know that you need static for our functions in C#. And then we have the return type of what's being returned. Void means it's not returning anything, but this function returns a boolean, whether or not we have the requisite length. And let's double check. We went over pre-test and post-test, and we should be good to go. So that's lesson 1. Code will be in the description of the video. 2 more lessons to come. Stay tuned. Thanks. Bye.